I mean, again, like I've never been about, individual awards or individual accomplishments, but I would say this one is definitely truly special because, I mean, there's been hundreds and possibly thousands of talented players that have played over the past 10 years. And for me to be, one of those individuals that is recognized to be, the top of the decade, and to not only be voted by, my fellow peers, players, to be voted by the fans, the coaches, and the media, to be recognized, it's special. I mean, it's hard to necessarily kind of put into words. Like, yet again, I still don't believe it, but it's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, it's an incredible accomplishment. Like I said, I mean, when I first came here, 10 years ago, and I started my career with, Bros of Baskets Bamberg, I never could imagine that, I would have this type of career, to be able to, be to as many Final Fours as I've been to and win as many EuroLeague titles that I've won, and to now be, celebrated as, one of the top 10 players of the decade. Sometimes I feel like I'm still dreaming. It was special because CSKA had experienced so many heartbreaks in the Final Four. Up to that point, there was all this talk of like, can CSKA do it? Can CSKA win it? It had been almost, I think, 8 years up to that point since the last time they had won the Final Four. So, a lot of people were kind of feeling a sense of urgency amongst the club. And, I was happy to be a part of that team that brought that title, that brought that feeling back to CSKA. That was one of the reasons, I came to CSKA because I wanted to, be a part of that first group that brought that title back to Moscow. That kind of changed the narrative of, CSKA going to Final Fours and disappointing and losing in the semifinals. So that was incredibly special because, like I said, I mean, the club, the team, it meant so much to so many people that, that we hadn't won here in such a long time. So the party, the celebration was incredible. It was an incredible experience. I remember I had so many family members there. I think I had like 25 people that came from the States, my brother, my wife's family, all my friends, they came in support. And it was just it was a great feeling. The game was a tough game. We kind of gave some people a little bit of a scare. Victor, again, Krapa, he hit one of an incredible basket, to put the game in overtime. And I think it was just a great way to, I guess you could say, win that title, because it was almost like we were up by 19 points, and Fenerbahce came back. And I think in the back of a lot of people's heads, they were like, oh, not again, CSKA is going to lose it again. And I think, for us to kind of, to prove people wrong from that standpoint and be able to, come back and win the game and be able to celebrate the title and bring the title back to Moscow. I mean, it was special. I think that definitely was a special title to me. In 2009 was probably a totally different year for CSKA. We started out the year, we had a very strong team, but it wasn't necessarily our most dominant year. We had a little bit of a down period, but we kind of caught fire at the right moment, the right time. I think a lot of us, because we had a disappointing loss in the year before in 2018 to Real Madrid, where for majority of the regular season, we were dominant throughout the whole regular season, and because of some injuries, we were able to, bring the trophy in 2018. So I think for 2019, I think that was all in the back of our minds, and I think, when that moment came, towards the end of the season, once we got to the playoffs and once we got to the Final Four, I think we wanted to kind of change that narrative. Obviously, we had a tough playoff loss here to Baskonia. It was like the first, playoff loss in a long time with CSKA, but we were able to kind of, come back from that. And, I guess we were in the Final Four, but we were almost like underdogs. Many people thought we were underdogs, but we knew deep down in our hearts that we were coming with a different point to prove. And I mean, for me, it was special because of the group of guys that I won it with. You know, those guys and my teammates, they were like truly like family. You know, everybody on my team, you know, I think we shared a special bond because we really went through a lot of different ups and downs throughout the season. And many of those guys, you know, we had spent, you know, 5-6 seasons together. So to be able to experience that the second time around, to also prove that, you know, 2016, you know, wasn't a fluke, that, you know, that 2019, I really think really stamped the legacy of this group, of that, you know, that run. And then it was also special for me because my kids were there and have an opportunity to, you know, share that moment with my kids and share that moment with my wife and my family members. I think that was definitely the biggest joy for me.